Hey everybody, my name's Enket. I make dumb jokes and talk about RPGs like D&D and Pathfinder, as well as my favorite virtual tabletop, Tailspire. If that sounds like something you're into, I'd appreciate the sub on my little baby growing channel. It'd be great if one day this could pay for my Netflix subscription. Today I just wanted to share my new homebrew world for my Pathfinder 2nd edition campaign that started last week. It's a steampunk medieval fantasy world called AARDEN. AARDEN is a steampunk world, which means players can expect to encounter all the massive and impractical steam-powered and clockwork machinery that you would normally associate with that kind of aesthetic, as well as the pre-Victorian era culture and technology and weaponry. Traditional medieval weaponry and bows and crossbows are joined by flintlock pistols and rifles, and a few homebrew creations including gun blades and flamethrowers. The gunslinger class, as well as the alchemist or the inventor, or in D&D the artificer, will go great in this setting for obvious reasons. The story starts in the year 1219, and the Empire has known a couple centuries of relative peace, mostly cut off from the rest of the world by the Fade, that's this smoggy stuff over here. AARDEN lives in relative isolation. Contact with other countries is so risky that even international trade with AARDEN has almost completely slowed to a halt. The Fade is a fog that never goes away, it only grows. It came to the world in the year 1016 when a then apprentice wizard named Hastus Vaz was attempting something in the tower he was studying in. It's not known exactly what he was doing. The most widely accepted assumption is that he wanted to open a portal from his tower in the eastern woods to his home in the country of Garenland. What is known, however, is that whatever his magical experiment was, it went terribly wrong. Hastus Vaz tore a hole in the fabric of reality, destroying himself and his tower in the process, tearing a rift between worlds from which the Fade constantly pours out. Hastus Vaz's homeland, an island nation called the Garenland, was completely destroyed by a Fade breach of their own, and is now known as the Mournlands. The Fade's fog is both toxic and corrosive, and it'll kill anyone who spends too long inside. Monsters of all shapes and abilities come through the rift as well, commonly known as Fade beasts. For the most part, they stay within the Fade itself, but occasionally Fade beasts will make random and violent incursions into the lands of the Empire. The Fade is kept at bay by a well-maintained system of machines called Fade Collectors. At regular intervals around the Fade's barrier, the fog is absorbed into receptacles, which are collected and replaced when they get filled up. These canisters are then brought to Noster's Keep, where they can be cleansed and returned into circulation. Okay, but back to AARDEN Vaz and the beginning of the Fade. Commonly referred to as the Breach, this event resulted in the then Empress of AARDEN, Jacinth von Reinberg, deciding to ban the use of magic throughout the Empire. If a simple apprentice could nearly destroy the world by accident, no benefit of magic could possibly be worth the risk. At that time, all the people currently studying or practicing magic were given an offer of amnesty. In exchange for ceasing all use and study of magic, they'd be permitted to live their life in peace on a generous monthly stipend from the Empire. Anyone who refused, lied, or tried to escape were arrested, and in some cases even killed. The Church of the Creator was given full authority in all matters pertaining to the monitoring of and punishment for any magical use. The Church of the Creator was established over 1,000 years ago, following a short period of political and religious strife known as the Reclamation. Various religions and subgroups therein vied for power, and one by one were absorbed or destroyed by the now dominant monotheistic faith. The Reclamation would become a defining point in AARDEN's history, as the calendar still followed today counts its years in the time since, with the annotation AR. With representatives in every village, town, and city, the Church of the Creator provides comfort and a sense of security to citizens all over the Empire. From its holy fortress of Noster's Keep, the elected leader of the church, called the Nostfather, oversees the operations of the massive organization. The Creator, as he's known, is believed by the faithful to be an omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient being who created the world and set it in motion, and who now watches and judges without interference as events unfold. The Nostfather is an elected leader within the church said to speak in the Creator's voice as he interprets various happenings around the world, looking for potential signs from the Creator. The original offer of amnesty after the breach was rescinded nearly 70 years ago when the current leader of the church, Gnostfather Sixtus IV, decreed that magic itself was heresy, as it's believed to have been drawn from the realm the Fade comes from even before the breach, and that the Fade itself is a punishment by the Creator against the people who would try to mimic the power of a god. The belief of Sixtus, the church, and as a result much of the citizenry is that if every magic user is found and killed, that the Fade will just go away. For over 60 years, they have implemented increasingly brutal tactics to try to hunt down stray magic users, even arresting children who have demonstrated magical abilities and putting them through dangerous rituals to sever their connections to the Fade realm. The Paladins of the Church, an order called the Hand of the Creator, were once a respected band of holy knights that kept the road safe from bandits and Fade beasts alike, and they're now regarded with distrust and suspicion as witch hunters and brutes. The Empire of Arden is made up of 3 member nations. Vesenhold is the central kingdom and acts as the seat of the empire. The Emperor and Imperial Senate both hold court in this central city. This is the birthplace of the empire, the home of innovation, and a cultural mecca for both artists and inventors. Merchants, tourists, and people from all over the empire come to the capital to see its tall towers and billowing airships. Seftmeyer is a nation located on a large desert tundra island in the northwest. Despite appearances on the outside, Seftmeyer is actually very wealthy, being rich in natural resources. Its many mines produce plenty of important metals and valuable gemstones, and many of Seftmeyer's cities are actually located underground, as at night, especially during the winter months, the surface of Seftmeyer's arid landscape can drop deep below freezing temperatures. Sutherfane's capital city sits on the southern coast of the empire. Sutherfane may be referred to as a kingdom, but it's more of an oligarchy, and the ruling council of wealthy merchants and ship captains are regarded by the rest of the empire as swindlers, pirates, and thieves. And they're correct. Sutherfane's ship captains proudly boast about plundering the lost wealth of the Garen land and of braving the monster-filled seas to engage in piracy and raids against the ships of other nations. Sutherfane's capital city has earned a reputation as an anything-goes destination for thrill-seekers, tourists, and those seeking their fortune by gambling with their coin or their lives. The final group that isn't quite a nation yet is called Midweld. Midweld began as a small village. However, the constant looming threat of Fade Beast incursions, as well as their distance from the support of Vesenhold, Sutherfane, or Noster's Keep, has led many people to uproot their homes, and in some cases entire villages, just to move to the safety and numbers from the vantage point of the growing clifftop community. The growth of Midweld and their relative seclusion has given them the opportunity to develop into a burgeoning city-state in their own right. Disorganized but determined, Midweld citizens and leadership are united in a common goal. Now this world is a low magic one, and I've asked my players to please not take magic classes other than those that would fit within the world. Clerics, paladins, or champions, they're classes like artificers, or alchemists or inventors, or even rangers whose magic could be explained through context as something more physical, where an artificer or an inventor is using a device, and a ranger maybe has prepared a bomb or a salve. Maybe something will happen along the way that gives them a spellcasting ability feat, but we'll have to see what decisions they make. So that's the world. I've dumped my players into it, and as the campaign story will be built entirely around their backstories, I don't have much else to talk about so far. So that's going to be it for the video. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Traditional melee traditional melee medieval